The relentless African sun scorched the sprawling city of Lagos, its golden rays cutting through the thick dust that hovered in the narrow back streets. The cacophony of honking cars, street vendors shouting their wares, and children playing echoed in the humid air, but none of this reached the tiny alleyway where Amina hurried, clutching the fragile bodies of her newborn twin daughters. Her breaths came in shallow gasps, each step heavier than the last. The ragged shawl she had wrapped around herself barely shielded her from the unforgiving heat, and her bare feet were raw from the cracked concrete beneath. Amina's mind was a battlefield of sorrow and desperation. Less than a year ago, she had been a hopeful young wife married to Emeka, a kind man with a gentle smile and dreams as bright as the Lagos skyline. But fate had been cruel. Emeka's life was taken abruptly in a traffic accident, leaving her alone in a world that was not kind to widows, especially those burdened with twins. A rare blessing turned curse in the eyes of many. Her in-laws, once welcoming, had transformed into harsh judges. They whispered behind her back that the twins were a bad omen, that she had brought disgrace on the family. The local community, swayed by superstition, turned cold. Food offerings stopped, invitations ceased. The warmth of human kindness was replaced by icy stares and whispered condemnations. On this day, after days of begging and pleading for help, Amina found herself standing before the stinking alley filled with garbage and forgotten hopes. Her trembling fingers tightened around the frail bodies of Zara and Zuri, names she had chosen carefully, meaning princess and beautiful. A hopeful future she could no longer guarantee. Tears streamed down her dirt-streaked face as she lowered the babies gently into an old metal trash bin, lined with scraps of cloth. Their tiny hands reached out to her, their innocent cries piercing her heart like 1,000 knives. "I'm sorry," she whispered over and over, voice breaking. "I love you both so much, but I can't keep you safe." Suddenly, a shadow fell across the alley. "Madam, what are you doing with those children?" A strong, gruff voice made her spin around. A man with weathered hands and kind eyes stood watching her, his face etched with both concern and surprise. I have no choice," Amina stammered, tears blurring her vision. The man stepped closer, gently lifting the babies. "Leave them with me," he said softly. "They will not be forgotten." But before she could respond, Amina turned and fled into the crowded streets, swallowed by the city's indifferent crowd, leaving behind the only thing she had ever loved. Obasi wiped the sweat from his brow as he carried the two tiny babies wrapped loosely in a colorful Ankara cloth against his chest. The smell of the busy Lagos market filled his nostrils. Ripe mangoes, fresh fish, and the sharp tang of spices mingled in the air. But none of it brought him any joy today. His heart was heavy. He glanced down at the babies, their eyes wide and confused, their fragile bodies trembling with every sob. "Don't worry, little ones," he murmured. "You're safe now." Obasi had lived a humble life as a street vendor for over 20 years, selling fruits and handmade crafts near the bustling Balogan market. His wife, Nkechi, was a gentle soul, known for her warm smile and soothing lullabies that carried through the dusty streets. When Obasi brought the twins home, Nkechi gasped softly upon seeing their state. Who could do such a thing? She whispered, brushing a curl from Zara's forehead. "They are so small, so helpless." That night, the small mud brick house, patched with corrugated iron sheets, echoed with the tiny cries of the twins. Despite their exhaustion, Nkechi stayed awake, humming an old Igbo lullaby. "Umunne mara mama, obu ginika ua ga eku. Nebe ana eto, ike gi ga iguzoro ike." Beautiful children, what will the world say? In the place you grow, your strength will stand firm. Days passed. The twins were given names, Zara, meaning princess, and Zuri, meaning beautiful in Swahili, names their adoptive parents chose to reflect their dreams for the girls. The market community was a mix of skepticism and quiet support. Many whispered about the fate of the abandoned children, but Nkechi and Obasi's kindness softened even the hardest hearts. "God has sent them to us," Nkechi said to Obasi one evening as they sat on the dusty doorstep, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and purple. The twins grew quickly, their bright eyes filled with curiosity and innocence. Yet, life was not easy. At school, Zara and Zuri faced cruel taunts from classmates who called them trash babies and orphans. One afternoon, after a particularly harsh insult, Zara clenched her fists, her young face set with fierce determination. "Not what they say," she told Zuri. "We will show them we are daughters of kings and queens." Nkechi watched the girls with pride and worry. She taught them about their roots, stories of Yoruba warriors, Igbo traders, and the great Ashanti queens who ruled with wisdom and courage. "You carry their spirit," Nkechi said gently. "Remember where you come from, and you will never be lost." At night, under the soft flicker of candlelight, Zara and Zuri would dream aloud about a future far from the narrow alleys and harsh words. A future where they would walk tall, dressed in fine clothes, surrounded by respect and love. Obasi often sat nearby, his rough hands knitting simple toys, his eyes glistening with hope. "Patience, my daughters," he whispered. "The world may be cruel now, but your time will come." And so, beneath the ever-watching stars of Lagos, two tiny babies began their slow journey from abandonment to hope, carried on the backs of those who believed in the impossible. Years passed like the steady flow of the Niger River, shaping the lives of Zara and Zuri as they grew from fragile babies into determined young women. The narrow streets of Lagos, once their only world, had expanded before them into a vibrant mosaic of sights, sounds, and possibilities. University life was a kaleidoscope of challenge and promise. The twins, now inseparable pillars of strength, for each other walked the bustling campus of the University of Lagos with heads held high. Zara's sharp intellect and fiery spirit complemented Zuri's calm wisdom and infectious laughter. Their dream was no longer hidden whispers in the night. It was a blazing goal: to build a fashion empire that celebrated African beauty and resilience, a brand born from the fabric of their struggles and heritage. They named their brand Nia, the Swahili word for purpose, a reminder of why they fought so hard. In their cramped shared apartment, walls adorned with vibrant kente cloth and posters of African icons like Miriam Makeba and Chinua Achebe, the sisters worked tirelessly. By day, Zara took business and marketing classes, her voice strong and confident during presentations. By night, Zuri pored over design sketches, sewing needles flying as she brought their visions to life. One evening, as the city buzzed outside, Zara sat at their rickety wooden table with a stack of papers. She looked up at Zuri and said, "Our clothes won't just be about style. They'll tell stories. Our stories, our culture, our strength." Zuri smiled, threading a needle through rich red fabric, a legacy stitched into every seam. But the path to success was strewn with obstacles. At a university entrepreneurship competition, their pitch was met with skepticism. A panelist frowned. "You come from the streets with no capital, no connections. How will you compete with established brands?" Zara's eyes blazed. "Because our story is real. Our clothes will empower women who feel invisible, just like we once did." The judges exchanged glances but granted them seed funding, impressed by their passion. Their first boutique in Victoria Island was humble but radiant. The walls were decorated with intricate beadwork, traditional masks, and photographs of powerful African women. Customers were drawn not just to the elegant designs, but to the message woven into each garment, However, success attracted envy. Business partners tried to cheat them, and counterfeiters flooded the market with cheap imitations. One night, after discovering a shipment of fake Nia dresses, Zara broke down in tears. Zuri held her tightly. "We have faced worse and survived. We will rise again." Beyond business, the twins never forgot the streets that raised them. They began holding workshops in slums, teaching young girls how to sew and start small businesses. The faces of those girls, bright with newfound hope, fueled their determination. At a bustling festival celebrating Nigerian culture, Zara and Zuri took the stage, their gowns shimmering with beads and gold thread. Zara spoke to the crowd. "Our journey is proof that no matter where you come from, your dreams are valid. Wear your story with pride." The crowd erupted in applause, the sound echoing through the night. As the stars lit the Lagos sky, Zara and Zuri sat on the rooftop of their apartment, arms wrapped around each other. "Do you remember the trash bin?" Zuri asked softly. Zara nodded, eyes glistening. "Sometimes I still see it in my dreams. But now, we are no longer there. We have created our own destiny." Zuri smiled. "And one day, we will help others create theirs." Their laughter mingled with the cool night breeze, carrying their dreams far beyond the city lights. The sun rose over Lagos like a promise renewed, bathing the city in warm, golden light. From a modest apartment to the towering heights of Victoria Island's financial district, Zara and Zuri's journey had become a legend whispered on every street corner. Their fashion empire, Nia, was no longer just a brand. It was a symbol of resilience, hope, and African pride recognized across continents. The private jet waiting at the tarmac outside their sleek new headquarters was a testament to years of unyielding grit and faith. Yet, despite the luxury and accolades, the sisters remained grounded in the memories of their painful beginnings. At ease, they prepared for the grand opening of their new global flagship store in Paris. A letter arrived, worn, with creases from years of being folded and unfolded. Zara unfolded it slowly, her hands trembling. The handwriting was unfamiliar, but the words ignited a storm inside her. "Dear Zara and Zuri, I am Amina. I am the mother who left you. I have searched for you every day of my life. I am sorry." The room grew silent. Zuri's voice was barely a whisper. "Mother, she's alive." That night, under the shimmering city lights, the sisters sat in quiet contemplation. Forgiveness was a mountain taller than any they had climbed before. Days later, they arranged to meet Amina in a small village on the outskirts of Lagos, the place where her journey had started in despair. Amina, aged and worn by years of regret, stood trembling before the towering women who once were tiny, helpless babies. Tears streamed freely as they embraced, not just as mother and daughters, but as survivors bound by love and pain. Amina's voice cracked. "I thought I was saving you from a life worse than death. I never stopped hoping." Zara held her mother's hands tightly. "We were lost, but you gave us life, and with every step, we chose to rise." From that day, their bond grew stronger, healing old wounds and forging new beginnings. The grand opening in Paris was a dazzling event. African drums beating in rhythm with champagne glasses clinking. Models strutted down the runway adorned in Nia's signature red and white suits, symbols of strength and transformation. As photographers flashed, Zara and Zuri stood side by side, elegant, confident, the daughters of a harsh past turned brilliant present. Zuri whispered, "From trash to billionaires." "To?" Zara smiled, eyes shining. "From abandonment to family. From pain to power. This is just the beginning." Their story inspired millions, a testament that no darkness is too deep, no obstacle too great when hope burns bright and courage guides the way. As the private jet soared into the night sky, carrying them toward new dreams and horizons, the sisters looked out over the twinkling lights below. A city that once tried to break them, now celebrated their rise. And in their hearts, they carried the unbreakable truth. They were never trash. They were queens, forged by fire, destined to reign.